Well, here we are. This is it, the finale. For 27 explainers, we have traveled through 387 years of incredible history together. From the Norman conquest all the way back in 1066 to the last days of Joan of Arc in 1431. It has been an absolutely epic story, and this is our final journey. So, what have we got lined up for this special finale? Well, we are going to tie everything together. We'll take one last look at our incredible journey, we'll uncover the three big themes that connect every single story, and we'll count down the most defining moments and people. Then we'll answer the biggest question of all: why does any of this still matter? We've also got two final insights that might just change how you see everything before we finish with the grand final quiz. Let's do this.
Okay, just think about everything we've seen. We were there for the Norman conquest, we got our heads around the feudal system, and we saw the creation of the Doomsday Book. We've stood right there in Canterbury Cathedral as an archbishop was murdered. We lived through a civil war where really nobody won. And then, we felt the absolute horror of the Black Death. We've marched with the peasants in their revolt, celebrated the sealing of Magna Carta, fought in the 100 Years' War, and we've been totally inspired by a teenage girl who changed history in just 13 months. And after all that, every single one of those stories has been building up to this one simple question. So what? What does medieval England actually mean for us today? Why does this distant past matter? And out of everything we've covered, what are the things that really shaped the world we all live in? This explainer is the answer.
You know, when you step back and look at the whole medieval period, you start to see these big patterns. Three powerful themes that pop up again and again, running through almost every story we've told. So first up, you've got this constant battle over power and its limits. It was this huge tug of war between powerful kings, rebellious barons, and the massive authority of the church. But, and this is crucial, this is where that world-changing idea got started, that even rulers have to obey the law. The second theme is change and continuity. The Normans totally changed England, no doubt about it, but so much of the old world survived: the language, the counties, the idea of what it meant to be English. History is never just about one thing replacing another. And the third, and maybe the most important theme, is the story of ordinary people. Yep, behind every king, every battle, there were millions of unnamed people whose lives and work are just as much a part of this story as anyone else's. Okay, so if we had to pick, if we had to choose the events and the people with the longest reach, the ones who made the biggest splash, who and what would they be? Let's find out as we count down the defining moments and people of medieval England. All right, here we go, our top 5 countdown. At number 5, it's that brutal, game-changing Battle of Hastings in 1066. At number 4, the Black Death in 1348, a plague so devastating it cracked the whole feudal system wide open. Coming in at number 3 is the shocking murder of Thomas Becket, the ultimate showdown between a king and his church. At number 2, the signing of Magna Carta in 1215, a document that would literally echo around the world for centuries. And the number 1 most significant moment? Well, it has to be the Norman conquest itself. Not just the battle, but the complete remaking of a country. Because without 1066, none of the other amazing stories we've told could ever have happened in the same way. And what about the people? Who are the real heavy hitters? While 5 individuals stand out. Of course, there's William the Conqueror, who remade an entire nation with just 7,000 men. Then there's the incredible Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of France, then Queen of England, a political powerhouse still running the country in her 80s. We have Thomas Becket, whose death proved that an idea could be stronger than any army. King John, whose spectacular failures as a king accidentally led to one of history's greatest successes, Magna Carta. And finally, Joan of Arc, a peasant girl who, in 13 months, changed the course of a war that had been raging for a century. She is perhaps the most remarkable individual in the entire medieval period. Now, I know what you might be thinking. All of this, castles, kings, knights in armor, it can feel like a story from a faraway land. But the truth is, the medieval world isn't gone. Not at all. In fact, it's all around us. It left behind things we see, use, and even speak every single day. Seriously, just think about it. The English language, now spoken by 1.5 billion people, it was forged right here in the collision between the Old Anglo-Saxon English and the Norman's French. The words for farm animals like cow and sheep are English, but the words for the meat on the plate, beef and mutton, are French. You are literally speaking medieval history right now. Our common law legal system,
Its core ideas were written down in Magna Carta and spread across the globe. Parliament? The word itself is Norman French, from parler, to talk, and the idea grew out of those arguments between kings and their barons. And the landscape itself, the castles, the cathedrals, the ancient county lines you see on a map, that is the world the Normans built, and you can still walk through it today. So if there's one thing you take away from this whole series, let it be this. Medieval England is not history that happened to someone else. It is history that made you. The language you speak, the rights you have, the very ground you walk on. It all traces back to the world we've explored together. Now, as we get near the end, I want to share two final little insights that I find fascinating. First, the great irony of Magna Carta. See, the rich barons who forced King John to sign it, they weren't fighting for everyone's rights, no way. They were just fighting for their own privileges. But here's the magic trick of history. The document they created became the foundation for universal human rights. It just goes to show you that sometimes the ideas turn out to be way bigger and better than the people who first wrote them down. And for a second insight, check out this incredible chain reaction. It's like a crazy domino effect. You can draw a straight line from a single event, the sinking of a boat, the White Ship in 1120, to Magna Carta 100 years later. When the king's only son drowned, it led directly to a civil war. That war brought a new family to power. Their kings then clashed with the church and their barons, and that clash ultimately led a century later to Magna Carta. It just shows that history is all connected in these deep, surprising ways that you can only really see it when you take a big step back.
And now, for one last time, it's time to put your knowledge to the test. This is it, folks, the grand final quiz. 5 questions covering our entire journey. Are you ready? Let's go!
Question 1. What was the last successful invasion of England and when did it happen? Was it A, the Spanish Armada, 1588, B, the Norman Conquest, 1066, C, the Viking Invasion, 1016, or D, the French Revolution, 1789? The correct answer is B. The Norman Conquest on October 14th, 1066 was the very last time an invasion of England actually succeeded. Question 2. Which document, signed way back in 1215, is seen as the foundation of rights and law? Is it A, the Doomsday Book, B, the Feudal Charter, C, Magna Carta, or D, the Treaty of Wallingford? The answer is, of course, C, Magna Carta, which established that rulers must be subject to law and even inspired the U.S. Constitution. Question 3. Which amazing medieval figure was queen of both France and England? Was it A, Empress Matilda, B, Joan of Arc, C, Eleanor of Aquitaine, or D, Isabella of France? And the correct answer is C, the one and only Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was Queen of France, then England, and was still governing as a regent well into her late 60s. Question 4. The Black Death killed approximately what proportion of England's population? Was it A, 5 to 10%, B, 15 to 20%, C, between 30 and 50%, or D, over 70%? The absolutely staggering answer is C. The Black Death killed between 30 and 50% of the population, which is the worst proportional loss of life in all of recorded history. And here it is, our last question of the entire series. What is the most important legacy of the medieval period that we use every single day? Is it A, medieval recipes, B, the medieval calendar, C, the English language, or D, medieval music? The answer is C, the English language. Forged in the fires of the medieval period, it's now spoken by 1.5 billion people around the world. And that is the end of our Medieval England series. 27 explainers, 387 years, from the Norman Conquest to Joan of Arc. Thank you so much for watching every single one. If you enjoyed this series, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a comment telling us your favorite explainer. The next series is coming soon. We will see you there.